Hey, hello, I'm Munbalance, and welcome to the first episode of All the Scythes, where I go out of my way to get every scythe in Final Fantasy XIV. Basically, the new Endwalker expansion came out for Final Fantasy XIV, and it comes with a new job called the Reaper. The Reaper uses scythes. Now, I don't think it comes as any surprise for anyone who's watched the channel for a length amount of time that isn't zero, that I really enjoy scythes, and I'm really enjoying Reaper as a class. So much so that I want to go out of my way to get every scythe in the game. And you can see I've already gotten a pretty good start at it. There are currently 34 scythes in the game, and they come from many different pieces of content. Some of them come from deep dungeons, some of them come from regular dungeons, some of them come from PvP, as well as some extreme trials that are much more difficult. I think today we're just going to start out kind of a little bit lukewarm a little bit, and we're just going to do some dungeon trials. But there is a little bit of an issue with that. We are a DPS class, obviously. And DPS have some long queues. So I'm going to go ahead and, to avoid any Endwalker spoilers, I'm actually going to go to the Shadowbringer dungeons, and we're going to queue up for Holminster Switch, Dawn Meg, the Quintana Ravel, Maracas Well, and Mount Glug. These 5 dungeons all have their own unique armor set, as well as each of them have a scythe that you can get at the end of the dungeon. And with those all ready in the duty finder, we can go ahead and teleport over to the golden saucer to occupy our time while we're waiting for our queue to pop. And the golden saucer is like a big virtual casino. It's got a lot of fun mini games that you can play while you're waiting for things and certain activities. Since we don't really have too much else to do, we can go ahead and go to the golden saucer and try to get some MGP for some exclusive costumes or what have you. Now, outside of special events and things that I can't do because I am currently waiting for duty, I think the best way to get MGP is this game called Out on a Limb, and essentially it's like a timing challenge where you have to time a little meter, and you have to basically find the weak spot of the tree. You can see it's not there, it's probably over here. Now this game is unique as it allows you to double down and basically keep increasing your winnings as long as you are successful. You have 1 minute in total, but as long as you have extra time, you can keep doubling down and trying again to go for more. And at a certain point, the double down reward gets really big, and this is what makes Out on a Limb such a good amount of MGP. Now, obviously, doing challenge logs and gates is much better, but this is a good way to make some passive MGP while you're waiting for your DPS queues. Oh, hey, there we go, our queue popped. We can just get right into it. So generally how dungeons work in Final Fantasy XIV is you generally have like 1 to 2 ad phases where you have a bunch of mobs and you gather them up and you DPS them all at the same time, and then you'll probably have another one and then followed by a boss. This usually repeats about 3 times. Most dungeons have about 3 bosses in them, and along the way you'll be getting treasure chests and gear drops, and basically at the end of the dungeon there is a chance to get a scythe. Now, luckily, these dungeons have a guaranteed drop, so the maximum amount of times I'll have to run a dungeon is only 10 times. Once I've run the dungeon 10 times, I will have guaranteed myself to get every item in the dungeon. And that's a bit of a guaranteed drop system that I'll explain maybe in some downtime between mobs. Basically, every dungeon has 10 items that it can give you for your class. Obviously, it drops items for other classes too. But for your class, there will be 10 items. And you can see here from the Palika set, you can see I have everything except the Scythe. So if I were to run that dungeon again, when it gave me my guaranteed item for my class, it has no choice but to give me the Scythe. And this is generally how we're going about things. We're going to hold on to all of the items, so we have the best chance of getting the Scythe. If we get the Scythe before then that's bonus. We don't have to run the dungeon anymore. but we want to maximize our chances of getting the scythe. You can see I've run this dungeon many times and I still don't have the scythe, but the next time I get it in my queue rotation, I am going to get the scythe guaranteed. Now, one thing about bosses in Final Fantasy is they are significantly more bulky than they are in Ragnarok. Generally, a boss fight will take several minutes at the very best of times. Sometimes they take much longer. Some fights can even go on to 15 or even half an hour long, depending on how complicated the fight is. And obviously, your DPS matters as well. Bosses also have lots of mechanics that if you do not abide by, you will get hit, you will get debuffs that make the damage that you take increase, and generally you'll go towards dying. Dying in Final Fantasy is a really big debuff. You get a debuff that decreases the damage that you do for a really long time, and you generally want to avoid that. Basically, any time that you would have gained, or any damage that you would have gained by standing in an AoE, you'll lose by dying or getting a damage decrease. And you can see while the boss is far away from me, I have a bullet that I can shoot at it. But for the most part, Reaper is a melee DPS, so I want to be on the boss as much as I can. So basically, all of the time, I want to be next to the boss hitting it. In addition to this, I also have positionals, so certain skills will do more damage depending on where around the boss I use them. And I'm sorry if anyone is a Final Fantasy XIV player, this all seems really basic to you. I just want to make sure that everybody watching the video is up to speed with the Final Fantasy XIV mechanics. And you can see that was a treasure coffer, and our first drops are the Lakeland Gloves of Healing, which I cannot use, so I'm going to pass on that, as well as the Lakeland Coat of Casting. Both of those I can't use, so I'm going to go ahead and pass on them. Basically, with these treasure coffers, I want to ensure that I get maiming sets, because that's going to increase my chances of getting the scythe at the end of the dungeon. And there is a chance that we just get the scythe outright. You can see here is the Lakeland Ring of Slaying. I'm going to need on that because that is a drop that could be given to me at the end. So I want to improve my chances of getting the scythe, so I'm going to go ahead and need on that. That way I get it, and I don't have to worry about getting the Ring of Slaying in my guaranteed drop at the end of the dungeon. Yeah, it looks like our tank has died, and the mob is now rushing towards the healer to take them out. And now they're coming for me. So I think the best course of action would be just to take the death. Because respawning naturally, like just with the game, you don't actually get the debuff, and you could just reset the instance, or basically the part of the dungeon that you're doing. And there's even a shortcut that takes you there. So looks like our tank is maybe a little bit short on the mitigation, or maybe the healer isn't being able to keep up, but that's just something that they have to keep in mind. We're DPS, we don't have to worry about that. It's not our problem. All we gotta do is do the damage when the monsters are together. This guy does look like he's wearing basic paladin gear, so maybe he is a relatively new player. But yeah, no, that's just how it be sometimes. Yeah, he is eating it. That tank is not happy. I'm gonna go ahead and try to bloodbath and see if I can survive a little bit. Maybe should have waited on the bloodbath, but I might be able to kill that one thing. Nah, looks like it not gonna happen. And they're just gonna heal up full because no one's around. One day I'll get that. One day I'll get it. Oh, they're still over there. The heck, man? What is going on with this party? The summoners out there looking at the cows. The tank is dying left and right. I don't know what's going on. I was waiting for people, but yeah, no, he's just chilling out looking at the cows. I don't know, man. I mean, I guess they're all right. Can't blame a guy for enjoying the farm life. Hey, we did it! 4th time's the charm. We got Gargoyle now. We got Tesleen the Forgiven. But yeah, so obviously I need to get some scythes in the Endwalker content as well. I'm just in the Shadowbringers content because it's got some scythes that I need, and it's not super heavy on spoilers for the brand new content that just came out. Because I want people to be able to watch this, even if they haven't completed their story yet. Because I know it's really hard to get into game and do that stuff. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna be a little bit thoughtful and make sure that you guys are all right with the content I'm putting out. Put some mitigation on for that. Makes us take less damage. Get out of the way for 2. There we go. I'd refresh my debuff. Get some positionals in there. Honestly, would have been a good time to use my buff, but oh well. Let's just use it now. Buff everybody. I heal myself a little bit. Maybe hit him with the limit break as well. Alright, let's see what we get in this chest. We've got the Lakeland Breeches of Healing. I don't need that. And aiming, that is not for me either. We got another Ring of Slaying, and if you can see, I can push need on this, and it won't let me grab it because I already have it. So I can go ahead and pass on the Rings of Slaying now. Tank. Thank you. And I'm out of there. The tank interrupted it anyway. I didn't have to back up, but you can never be too sure. Ooh, another treasure coffer up here. Let's see what it is. All right, looks like it's the so this is the first chest with the weapon in it, and it's the dancer weapon. So obviously can't use that. We're gonna pass on it. And next up should be the final boss of Lakeland, of Hallmonster Switch. And then we have 2 more chances to get the scythe. We have the treasure coffer from the boss, which also has a weapon in it, and our guaranteed drop, which also might result in a scythe. All right, I'm about to get chained down, and my party is gonna have to come to my rescue, or I'm gonna get hit by this big AoE. Thank you, party. That's gonna be a big AoE over there. Looks like everybody avoided it. That's good stuff. Didn't look like they were going to, but they did. Okay, we got a stack. I'm gonna put my mitigation on. And you can see even just a common boss like this is actually pretty complicated considering all of the mechanics that you need to do. And you can see it's gonna turn clockwise as it does this attack. And I think once we're done moving here, I'm gonna sneak in a limit break. There we go. Perfect. All right, and for our guaranteed drop, we got the Lakeland Necklace of Slaying, and oh, there it is! There it is, first try. Wow, there's the Lakeland scythe. So I'm gonna go ahead and need on that since I'm the only Reaper in the party. No one else can need on it, and I can get that scythe, and that is a scythe get. And I got the orchestration roll too, which is really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and commend my fellow DPS. And we are going to leave the dungeon. It looks like my party was happy with me. I got 2 commendations, and we can cross Hallmonster Switch off of our scythe list. And here it is. This is the Lakeland scythe. It's actually pretty nice looking. And as you can see, it's got like a nice cross aesthetic. It's got a little bit of a poleaxe action, a little bit of an axe on the other side, little like the blue gem there, and it's got some wrapping on the the hilt of it. Overall, I think a really nice scythe. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my glamour chest, and we can continue searching for the other 3 dungeons we need. Hopefully, I get all 4 scythes today, and we can cross all of the Shadowbringers dungeons off of our need to get scythe list. And a little bit of an intermission here, as some of you might be wondering, Mun, why are you getting these low-level scythes if you're already level 90? What do you need this for? And the main answer is for cosmetics. The cool thing about Final Fantasy XIV fashion is you could basically take any item in the game and put it in your glamour chest. And then you can use these items basically freely as cosmetic items. The scythe I'm using right now, it has the visual appearance of a level 80 scythe, even though I am definitely using a level 90 scythe underneath it. You can see, if I hover over it, you can see it's taking on the appearance of the augmented Crypt Lurker scythe. So one of the main reasons that I want to get every scythe in the game is because I want a scythe for every different occasion. Now, since this is the first Final Fantasy video I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it a little short and let you guys see it and see if you guys like it and if there's anything I can do to improve the process. But yeah, for now, I think that'll about do it for the video. This should give you a good idea of what's a typical scythe hunt in a dungeon looks like. Of course, there are plenty of different ways to get scythes, and honestly, one of the main reasons of this challenge is not only to get all of the scythes, because, again, many of them are duplicates. Many of them have the same model or the same color, and they're really, or some of them are just plain ugly. The point of this challenge is not to get all of the scythes for getting all of the scythe's sakes. It's also, I'm going to be able to experience a whole lot more of what Final Fantasy XIV has to offer. Some of these scythes will have me go into deep dungeons, relatively far into deep dungeons. I'm not going to have to master the content, but I am going to have to get decently far in it. In addition to this, there is also a scythe that's locked to PvP. Now, I'm not exactly sure how PvP goes in Final Fantasy, because, again, I have not touched it at all. So that's going to be a learning experience, and I think that'll be very interesting because it's going to basically force me out of my comfort zone and allow me to try new things. And that's what I want. That's what I want to do with this thing. And I'm really enjoying the Reaper class enough that I would go into taking this relatively large scale task. As for the scythes, we are currently at 23 out of 34, and while it seems like we're almost done already, keep in mind that a lot of the scythes there are a lot of scythes that are a lot easier to get than others. So, for example, there's something called the Edenworn Sickle that's going to have me do some Savage content. That's going to be very difficult, even unsynced. In addition, there's the PvP one, which I mentioned, and then there's a whole bunch of more dungeons one I have to do. But once we run out of dungeons, these are arguably the easiest scythes to get. Once we run out of dungeons, I'm definitely going to have to do some more involved content in order to actually get this list finished up. So while it might seem that we are almost done, you can go ahead and check in the description. I left a list of all the scythes, where to get them, and our process, our progress on this mission. So basically, I'm tracking my progress. You can always watch it, and then you can make a copy if you want to do this challenge yourself. You can also copy the spreadsheet. And obviously, I'm going to update the spreadsheet as more scythes come out. I am going to go out of my way to get them. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was informative, or at very least entertaining. Leave the like if you liked it, subscribe to see more like it, and a special thanks to the Patreon supporters that are allowing me to jump out of my comfort zone and do something that maybe I'm not quite used to. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.